Nicole.
Hi, Nicole Goodkind with Barron's. Thank you for taking my question. Given the cumulative impact of high interest rates on the housing sector, I'm wondering how concerned you are that current rate levels are exacerbating housing affordability issues and potentially hindering household formation and wealth accumulation for a segment of the population?
You know, housing is an interest-sensitive activity, so it's at the very center of monetary policy. When the pandemic hit and we cut rates to zero, the housing companies were incredibly grateful, and it was really, they said that was the only thing that kept them going, was that we cut so aggressively and provided credit and things like that, and they were able to finance because we did that. The other side of that is when inflation gets high and we raise rates, and you're right, it does burden the housing industry, and so rates have come down a bit, and as that happens, we don't set mortgage rates, but our policy rate changes do tend to affect mortgage rates, and that has been happening, and that'll of course raise demand. Lower borrowing rates for builders will help, builders will help supply. And so some of that should happen. I think most analysts think that it would have to be pretty big changes for it to matter a lot, big changes in rates to matter a lot for the housing sector. And the other thing is by achieving maximum employment and price stability, that's a strong economy. That's a good economy for housing. And then the last thing I'll say is, there's a deeper problem here. There's not a cyclical problem that the Fed can address, and that just is a pretty much nationwide housing shortage. Or a lot of places in the country just don't have enough housing for people, and all of the areas around metropolitan areas like Washington, for example, are very built up, and so you're having to build farther and farther out, and so that's where it is.
And just a quick follow-up, during the last SEP, or the press conference following the last SEP, you seemed to indicate that policymakers lacked conviction about their projections, and I'm wondering if you still feel that way.
Forecasting is very difficult even in placid times, and as I've mentioned before, forecasters are a humble lot with much to be humble about. So I think right now is a particularly challenging time, even more uncertain than usual. And so I don't know any forecaster anywhere, really. Ask any of the forecasters whether they have great confidence in their forecast right now. I think they'll honestly say no.